Hello, welcome back. It's Christopher Taylor with Sovereign Harmony. We're going to see if this little screen in the window works here. My camera is a little fussy, so it might blink out on us, but we'll try. Anyway, so today is Wednesday, May 5th. It's Cinco de Mayo. You can see right here, it's the current time, current date, and the current planets here using, again, planetwatcher.com. Great little tool. I highly recommend it if you can interpret planets yourself. It's just a great way to really keep things in order as far as what's coming and everything else. And so I wanted to come in today. It's been a good 2.5 months since the last one I did. And oh, look at my camera going nuts already. So we might have to click that off here in a second. But anyway, the theme for this year, if you remember from a couple of videos ago in the beginning of 2021, it's a game changer year, right? I'm saying this a lot, talking about information that's likely to come out this year that changes the game, etc. I'm gonna just it already dropped it for us. Anyway, so something wrong with my camera there. But anyway, so I want to, in keeping with that theme, talk about what's coming up here in the next couple of months. So what we have on the horizon is another Mercury retrograde coming up here at the end of May, and that'll last into about mid to late June. It's May 29th to June 22nd. And we'll flip through and see that here in a second. There's also going to be a couple of eclipses. It's eclipse season. They happen about every 6 months or so. And so on May 26th, so coming up at the end of the month, just before Mercury retrogrades, we'll have a lunar eclipse in Sag. And then on June 10th, just prior to Mercury going direct again, we will have a solar eclipse in Gemini, okay? And the Mercury retrograde will be entirely within the sign of Gemini as well. So strong themes of Gemini, Sagittarius, which if you're familiar, that's basically the axis, Sagittarius energy here, Gemini here. It's the axis of communication and information, etc. Okay. And so let's just kind of walk through here. You can see we go a little ahead in time. This is going to be that lunar eclipse there, May 26th. Notice that is at about 5 degrees Sagittarius. And notice that it is making a square to Jupiter, which will be entering Pisces here this month as well. That'll actually be May 13th. So it's another thing that is changing this in this next couple of months or whatever. Jupiter just entered Aquarius not too long ago. It was right around the solstice when it joined Saturn at 0 degrees Aquarius. So it kind of zipped through Aquarius pretty quickly. It's going to hit Pisces. It's barely going to get in there before it retrogrades and be back into Aquarius. And then it'll get back into Pisces late in 2021. So, but there's, going to be some thematic situations with Jupiter in Pisces, which is the natural ruler of the sign of Pisces, especially now that it's going to be highlighted here by this square from the lunar eclipse that will happen on May 26th. We go ahead a little bit further. Now we can see the Mercury retrograde. That's May 29th, about 3:30 Pacific time. That will happen. And so it's going to retrograde about 25 degrees Gemini, right with Venus. So it's going to be retrograding with Venus. So Venus will keep going forward, obviously, but it's going to have a conjunction to Venus when it starts its retrograde. Okay, and then we move forward into June 10th. There's that solar eclipse in Gemini, about 20 degrees Gemini. Notice that's going to be with Mercury retrograde. So joining Mercury retrograde. Okay, I'm just kind of going over everything first, and we'll talk about interpretations here in just a minute. So we go a little further in the future, and then we're going to see Jupiter turning retrograde. Like we said, it entered Pisces. It's going to turn retrograde in June, about June 20th. Okay, and that'll last into the fall. And Mercury's going to go direct a couple days later on June 22nd at about 16 degrees Gemini. So from 16 to about 25 degrees Gemini, that's the zone of the retrograde. So if you know your chart, you know what you have between, basically the second half of Gemini for the most part, where that falls, what house that falls, and if any planets are there or getting opposed by that point, it's going to be some significance there for you. And as we move a little bit forward, we're going to see that Jupiter is going to drop back into Aquarius. Where is it? I think it's the next. There it is. That'll be in late July. So in that whole time, because of Mercury retrograding in Gemini, it's going to be in Gemini for quite some time. So it just entered Gemini. You can see right here, just in the past couple days ago. So May 3rd, Mercury entered Gemini. It's not going to leave until we have to go a couple months out. I think it's July 11th is a day. Yeah, July 11th. It'll eventually cross over there. There it is, 0 degrees Cancer. So from early May to mid July, essentially, we have Mercury in Gemini where it currently is, and so very strong themes for Gemini again, and with the Sagittarius um, part of that dynamic with the lunar eclipse opposing the Gemini sun at that time. That's really our focus here. And I had already brought up the idea of the lunar eclipse squaring Jupiter in Pisces, and the solar eclipse, if we'll see here on June 10th, that will square Neptune in Pisces. So Pisces is a big part of these eclipses coming up. And this is where we're getting into now, interpretive wise, is the idea of information and the confusion, but also opening. Okay. So what I'm seeing over the next couple of months, very interesting, because we got certain things going on right now having to do with the idea of information coming out. I've been saying this specifically about, I think UFO talk. There's more and more being released, admitted, etc. There's something that's supposed to be, it was like an official document or something coming out. I can't remember exactly what it was. It was in early June though, so it's around the time of this solar eclipse. Okay, within a few days of that, and supposedly it's going to be some pretty, a lot deeper of a disclosure than we've ever had when it comes to UFOs and whatnot. So I can't remember where I heard that. I saw it a couple places. I didn't write it down or anything, but it's just floating in my head as I'm talking here. But that could be more significant than we've ever seen, basically. Okay. So on the theme of secrets and information coming out and flying around, and Mercury retrograding in Gemini with these eclipses, and we're going to have Jupiter in Pisces for the duration of the next couple of months, pretty much, once it enters there next week, um, and the potential for both, very enlightening information, so like real truth coming out, but also deceptive information coming out as well. So it's going to be very difficult, I think, over the next couple of months to really discern what is true from what is not, what is exaggerated from what is more realistic, etc. And there could be things that we don't think are true when they come out. We find out they are, and in the opposite too, as well. We get duped by something and then find out it was false. Okay, and this has been happening in the mainstream media for a while. Lots of misinformation, and there was just a thing with Giuliani or something like that here in the U.S. where um, apparently the intel or something that the media got from the CIA was incorrect or something like that. And so there's all kinds of hot water involved there. But I would expect a lot more of that kind of theme coming up these next couple of months. Lots of information coming out again that could be unbelievable but yet true, which changes the game, right? But also attempts at misinformation and disinformation, which will reveal themselves to not be true in time. Okay, so I think, unfortunately, I think a lot of the division that's been going on is going to really increase with this Mercury retrograde cycle. But there's an opportunity there because there's a sense of openness to new information coming in. That joining Venus there as it goes retrograde, it really suggests, you know, beauty and honoring truth and whatnot. And so the goal of this deep dive Mercury retrograde in Gemini that we'll go through here, from May 29th to I think it was June 22nd, is going to be to kind of mull over all the information, all the new things that have come in, and really do our own sovereign discernment. That's going to be extremely important here, as we, here in the late spring, early summer months. I think it's just the need for personal discernment and not getting sucked into the masses, and what the rumors are, and what and what the mainstream media is just jumping on or whatever. Because I think what we're seeing here is the beginning of the end, I think, to the media, because they're just going to expose themselves in a way. I think with Neptune in Pisces squaring that, solar eclipse in Gemini in June, I really feel like, in combination with the whole UFO thing and whatever, there's gonna be other things too. Okay. Like for example, we have the audit going on in Arizona right now, and that information is supposed to come out here in the next few weeks. So who knows what that leads to? Because honestly, if there's anything more than a zero finding, that's big news. There's really no way to say, oh, there is some fraud, but it was small. So if, like I said, if there's anything more than a zero finding, it's huge news. And we'll see what happens there. That could be some bombshells that come out of that and what that leads to. Um, there's also, I just saw this morning, where Trump he just started his own communication media, wherever, whether it's a social media thing. I mean, I don't even know what it is. I didn't read into it, but it's some platform for communication. Okay, and obviously it's not going to have the same censorship that YouTube. Sorry, YouTube. Thanks for your service. Let me put this up there, but YouTube's been pretty picky about what they will and not and what won't allow on their platform. Facebook as well, with fact checking and all that good stuff. So this platform, whatever it is that Trump is doing, is likely to have lots of information we would never hear in the mainstream news. And so again, could be a combination of both real things that seem unreal, right? That we have to just accept they are real, but we can't believe that they're real because it means other things that we believe are real aren't as well, or something like that. But there could also be some misinformation and disinformation there too. And there's probably going to be some kind of battles going on, and they're just going to start here this next couple of months, between the traditional mainstream outlets that frame narratives, for example, and ignore certain parts of the news for whatever special interest reasons, right? It's going to be harder for them to have reasons why they're not covering certain things that maybe will be covered, say, in a new platform, right? So it's going to be interesting with information here the next couple of months. That's really the biggest theme. It's the cat is out of the bag kind of energy. So we're going to get some real truths set forth, but of course that's going to come with some attempts at misinforming and misdirecting people. Probably, if you are a mainstream outlet, or you own one, or you have special interest in them, you're going to want to battle whatever it is that is going beyond what you're willing to cover, for whatever limits your special interests prevent you from diving into whatever. um, but it can really change things pretty quickly when information gets out there, and that's going to be, like I said, that is our major theme, is the information flying around here in May, June into July, but mostly May, June. That's going to be the real hot time when Mercury's retrograde here. But I do think in the end, with Venus there, I feel like in the end, this is how we get to the truth. Sometimes it's not going to be a straight line. It's not going to be A to B. It's going to be tossed over here and then back over here, and then analyze this and then discern with this. And each individual is going to have their own sovereign perspective, and that's okay. But this is a time to establish the ability, if we don't have it, to think for ourselves, essentially, because we're going to be being told things that contradict each other. And so it's going to be up to us to decide if either or are correct, or if neither are correct. And they're both, there's special interests involved in both pieces of information. And so this can be a really great time for people learning how to come into their sovereignty with regards to authority, with regards to what they believe, what they don't believe. I think we're going to get some information here about COVID and the vaccines, some surprises, some revelations, etc., that might come from this as well. And the repercussions of that, I think, it's gonna be a pretty big deal coming in here the next couple of months. I feel like it's gonna be different at the end of the summer here, after all these shifts and changes, and with what comes out, essentially. So um, I think I'll leave it there. I think that, I mean, in general, without even breaking all the pieces in their individual form, I think with Jupiter entering Pisces, and those eclipses in the Sagittarius Gemini realm, along with the Mercury retrograde in Gemini, and those eclipses squaring planets in Pisces, that this, what I've just mentioned is pretty much what that is saying. When you put all the pieces together, is that Pisces is the energy of opening and coming into the truth in its highest form, right? Coming into the spiritual truth of a situation, the biggest picture, the big picture, look of things. But it's also can be very deceptive on the negative side, and of course Neptune, the planet of deception and whatnot. So it's not going to be, again, A to B totally clear information, but information is going to be flying around, and it has a potential to expand our our idea, our perception of the bigger picture. And if we're discerning and we take responsibility for what we're discerning, then we can get a lot out of this time period, the next couple of months. And we just got to watch out, not let ourselves be fooled by anything, because that is another high potential coming in here. So there's going to be a lot of disagreement and a lot of sort of confusion, I think, over the next couple of months. But that's okay, because it will settle out. But with that, I think I'm just going to leave it there and keep it nice and short today. So again, it's been Christopher Taylor with Sovereign Harmony. If you are interested in your own private consultation, kind of taking a look at what these eclipses in the Mercury retrograde and other planetary activities, how they're operating in your chart, feel free to contact me. You can contact me through my website, sovereignharmony.com. You can contact me through YouTube, comment below if you want, but we can set something up here via Zoom, etc. So with that, I will be back probably in a couple of months, maybe right in the middle of all this, to kind of give specific examples of what I've kind of laid out here, but we'll see how that unfolds. So thanks for watching and sharing, and if you haven't subscribed, please go ahead and do so. And again, feel free to comment, share, do whatever you want with it. Thank you for being here, and I'll see you next time. Bye.